Rise for the pledge. Mr. Rump, would you lead us?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Ms. Doyle, the ARB attorney, would you please read the legal regulations for our hybrid board meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Good morning. In accordance with the Town Board's adoption of Local Law Number 14 of 2022, the board's meetings are being held both in person here at Town Hall and by a video conference through Zoom webinar. The link to participate in this meeting via Zoom can be found on the town's website at the town clerk's agendas and meetings portal. You can also watch the live stream video and submit written comments through the town website. For anyone attending via Zoom, if you wish to speak during the meeting, please click the raise hand icon so our moderator can grant you access to participate in the meeting. If you are here in person, when your application is called, you can come up to the table. There are microphones up here. Just watch, if you have large plans, try not to hit the microphone with the papers because it makes really loud sounds. And as a reminder, please state your name and hamlet of residence for the record when you come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Doyle. Okay. Since Mr. Jankowski, the board secretary, is absent, Mr. Burke, would you please call the roll?
Sure, will do. Mr. Tagliavia,
Here.
Ms. Keys,
Here.
myself, I'm here, Mr. Rumpf,
Here.
and Chairman Cherrier,
Here.
and Mr. Jankowski is absent. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Burke. Did all of the board members that were present review the minutes of the May 2nd, 2023 meeting?
Yes.
Any errors or omissions?
I saw none, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. If none, then do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll motion to make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the May 2nd, 2023 board meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Any old business to come before the board before we start on the agenda? If not, then we'll just start with the published agenda. The first item on the agenda is a sign application, Greenberg Troward, 21317 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself
Okay,
on
thank
this
you.
application.
Thank you, Mr. Rump.
Aye.
Okay. All right, I'm the lead board member on this application, and I will give the board my comments and decision. First of all, I think it is in conformance with the, conforms to the sign code for the town of Southampton, and I received no correspondence otherwise. The only issue that we do have is they put up the sign before getting approval for it. But which Ms. Doyle, you informed us that the building department.
Right, if something's done before it has a permit, then the fees for the application would be doubled.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I see nothing wrong with the sign. It's a monument sign. I think it's attractive, and I have no problem with it at all. Ms. Keys?
Does this particular sign need the address, the number?
Oh, yeah, that I,
That's the only thing that it seems to be lacking.
yeah, the building number.
It shows, what is this on here? Is that just a measurement?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
see, I
just
thought
not-
that's a light, and,
I think they need to add that.
yeah. See, I thought that was it at the bottom, and I just wasn't seeing it well, all right.
It's deceiving.
Unless it's internally lit. I think the last sign there was it maybe lit internally. Farrell sign that was previously there.
Right. Okay, so, building number. All right, any further comments? Ms.
Okay,
Keys?
no.
Okay. All right, Mr. Tagliavia, comments?
No other comments other than the number.
Okay. Mr. Burke, comments?
No, nothing further.
Okay, since this is a sign, do I hear a motion to approve? And I would add the stipulation that any motion would contain that the,
Brian DeSessa is coming in.
oh, yes, good. And before we'll vote, we'll hear from him.
Hey, Brian.
Hello?
Buddy, how are you?
Yeah.
We can't hear Brian.
You can speak.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Hi.
No, I'm just here for this application. If there's any questions or anything, we switched out the name on the sign is what we're here before the ARB for, and the name change and the colors of the new tenant's logo.
Is there any lighting on the sign, Brian? Is it internally lit or?
There is backlighting, which was pursuant to the dark skies law, which was the same lighting
Yeah.
that we had on the Farrell sign.
Okay, thanks.
Inside the lights, they project onto the back.
Yep.
So, same as what was previously approved.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, one question I have is the building number on the sign?
It is not. I was just looking at it out the window.
Yeah.
But I can make sure we add it to the bottom of the sign.
Yes, because I originally thought that, I think that's a measurement
That's a measurement, yeah.
in the drawing we have, so that's
Yes.
why I thought that might have been the building number. Okay, yeah, it needs to be added.
I will make sure we get the address added to the bottom of the sign.
Okay, and,
Thank you.
Ms. Keys, any comments?
That's
Further
all I
comments?
need.
Mr. Tagliavia?
Nope, no
Any
further
comments? Okay, Mr. Burke,
No,
any
that's-
further?
That's all.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with the building number added.
Okay.
I'll second.
The motion has been made and seconded to accept the sign as submitted with the building number added on the bottom. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's approved.
Thank you very much.
Right,
Have a good
thank
day.
you. Right.
Thanks.
Okay. We're going to need Mr. Rump. Are you familiar with the next application?
No.
Streb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next is a site plan review, Stribble and Klein, 406 Mill Road, West Hampton. Mr. Jankowski is absent. He would be the lead on this project. Mr. Tagliavia, will you give the board your comments and decision on this application?
Sure. How you doing? Please introduce yourself.
Yes, Nicholas Vera, architect, 120 Mill Road. West Hampton.
Hi, wait.
How are you?
Okay, do you want to,
Sure. Mr. Trezor was kind enough to get me before this board relatively quickly, to my surprise, and I don't have a rendering, I had ordered it, but that was only last week, so. I do have a colored rendition of an elevation.
okay, do you have this in digital form?
I don't
We
have it in
have,
digital form right now. It's the
Elevations right
How
here.
about site plan?
We have the site plan, this
Should be
is,
landscape plan in there also.
this is everything that I have.
That's all they sent you.
What is the address?
Yeah.
406 Mill Road. West Hampton.
Thank you.
Yeah, next to the post office in
Mhm.
West Hampton, and the other vacant lot that the town owns. The town owned this for a while, and Mr. Strebel purchased this property from them about a year ago.
Right.
And the intention was to build an office for him, he's an accountant. Lives locally in West Hampton Beach, and this is where he wants to move his office back from Hopog. So, yeah, there's no site plan up there with landscaping. But we did submit to the town an extensive landscape plan that was presented before the planning board. And I can do that digitally if you'd like. And if you want me to explain the building, what we're looking to do in the building. Again, architecture, it's a one-story building, trying to keep it nice and low-key. We were introducing a little bit of stone, stacked stone on the south elevation facing Mill Road with hardy board also in the colors that you see here, which is the sand color.
Okay, yeah, would you explain the colors? so
Yes,
that-
okay, yeah. so
Because the public,
Sure. So the stacking stone was going to be, in the natural browns and grays, okay? Just a portion of the building, which is the east side of the building on the south side elevation. The other portion of the elevation, which is, there's a little bit of a break where the front entry vestibule is. Just go back to, stay on the front elevation.
Okay.
South elevation, I'm sorry. Right there. That elevation, we're gonna do the hardy board in the sand tone color. And then we're gonna do an architectural grade roof in the weathered wood, which is going to mimic cedar as it begins to weather. Everything else would be an AZAC trim that you see here with the gable end details and a board and batten type. And again, the gable details as we see here, all in AZAC and all staying white trim around the windows and doors. So I apologize for not having the rendering done sooner, but under the
Right.
time strain, I only ordered it last Thursday.
okay. Okay, Mr. Tagliavia, comments?
Is there any lighting on the building?
There's no lighting on the building. We only have lighting on our parking lot, all night sky lighting.
Is there a plan to add lighting, or are we gonna
If we do add lighting, it would be all coach on, at the doorways and, on the side of the building, but most of the lighting's gonna be in the back, obviously, for the parking.
Landscape.
There you go.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, do we need to see the lighting before we make an approval if it's gonna be posted on the building?
Yes, I mean, we can do that, we can even, we can make a motion and have that as, he can submit it to you,
Okay.
and then you can do the final approval.
Okay.
That
Yeah, so
way
we
you-
would just do coach lighting on the building at the doors and possibly the sides.
Yeah.
That would be the only lighting. We don't have a sign designed yet. They were going to a separate sign person, so I'm sure we'll be back for our sign.
And that'll be a separate.
Yes,
Okay.
separate application, yeah.
Right, because we can review it and then have you add to it. Okay, any further comments, Mr. Tagliavia?
I would just like to see the lighting and then the color rendering of
Sure,
the
okay.
stack zone or a sample.
Okay, sure,
Sent
perfect.
to us, and
Okay.
then, but happy to push it through.
Okay.
Okay.
I can get the samples of the stacks down to you ASAP. Rendering, maybe end of the week next week if
That's
we
fine.
put it in the file.
If you have a sample, you don't
Okay.
need the
All right.
rendering.
Okay.
Well, if I have it, I'll give it to you.
Ms. Keys, comments?
Where is it positioned on the lot? How far back?
It's positioned pretty far back off the lot. It's 30 feet off of Mill Road, because the parking is in the rear, so.
Oh, cool. And so, to scale of the lot, what's the size of the lot versus the size of,
You be careful of the mics.
I'm sorry.
My apologies.
Yeah.
I think the lot is a little over 20,000 square feet, and the footprint of the building is exactly 3,000 square feet.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
so we are
And what
well.
is, in the picture, what is the roof? Is that color going to be that red?
No, it's going to be the architectural, the weathered wood, which tends to be cedar looking as it's starting to patina.
Ah,
Okay, so
okay.
rather than he didn't want to do a cedar roof on the roof, so. But if you'd like, I'll give you that sample with the stacking stone.
It looks fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Runt, comments?
I have no issues, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and you've looked at the landscape
Yeah.
plan and?
Yep.
Fine. Mr. Burke, comments?
Nothing further.
Okay, and I looked at, I don't have any, based on the drawings and materials to be presented to Mr. Tagliavia. Okay, do I hear, well, this is a site plan, and what we'll do is we'll submit a transmittal letter to the planning board on this.
Okay.
And as soon as you can deliver those, then the transmittal letter can be started.
Probably by Thursday or Friday. at the
Okay,
latest.
fine. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick.
That's back to you, back to planning. That's probably theirs. Okay, guys, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Okay, we have CVS in Hampton Bays, 125 West Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays. Do we have the applicant? Good morning. And would you state your name and your relationship to the project?
Yeah, Christopher Kent from Farrell Fritz. I'm the applicant's attorney.
Okay.
This is the architect.
Okay.
The package is right here.
Marco Nevis, architect.
Hi.
Okay.
Some easels if you want me to.
Yeah, that's the right one, yeah.
Just grab it.
He wants to give you a brief background of the
Yeah.
project?
Yes.
Yeah,
Wait till
and,
Marco, oh, wait till Marco sits down.
right, and then just
think you have a-
describe the whole
I think
project.
you have the pamphlet here.
Yeah. Well, you have it up on the board. I don't know if the easel is going to be necessary because this has to be viewed by the general public, so.
Okay, no, that's fine. Just grab my notes.
Better to have it and not need it.
Right,
than
absolutely.
Need it and not have it. I'll just give you a brief background. The location of the proposed CVS is was used as United Artists Movie Theater in Hampton Bays. And prior to that, it was a grocery store. It's in the shopping center at the corner, southeast corner of Springville Road and Montauk Highway, Main Street, Hampton Bays. We're replacing a 15,000 square foot movie theater with a 14,888 square foot proposed CVS store. We are not expanding, we're actually reducing the size of the footprint to add some dumpster locations in the rear of the property with an entrance in the rear for staff and deliveries. We are proposing, this is a rendering of or an elevation really of the front. I think Marco has a better rendering of what it's going to look like because the windows
Sure, so
in that are shown kind of as opaque where we're showing clear
Right.
glass.
I think that was submitted as well electronically, but this is basically essentially what the rendering looks like. The elevation that's up on the screen is the proposed elevation in which we are removing the lot boxes that exist there today, and we're adding some windows for visibility into the store as well as our main entrance. Essentially, the siding on that side along the front of the store is going to be replaced to match the existing on either side. It's basically wood siding and it's painted. The marquee over the entrance, which is there today, it's actually shown on the existing elevation.
And this is what it looks like today with the marquee.
Right, the marquee will be removed. Any shingles that need to be replaced, we'll replace them to match existing. And we're proposing signage where the marquee is today, CVS Pharmacy. We do have some details. This is non-illuminated. It's externally illuminated, I should say. It's not not internally illuminated. It's just illuminated externally through gooseneck lighting.
And that's going to continue.
That's what we're proposing.
Right.
Yes.
I have some lighting details and also signage. I have 3 copies. I don't know if I have enough. Here's the, here you are. We can walk you through that if you'd like.
I was also able to
Yeah,
go to
I
UPS store. I
Yeah, I got
appreciate
some
it.
bigger ones, yes. So that's the
building sign.
building sign and also the street sign.
Yeah.
Which shows that it meets the setback requirements of the town code. It's going to be located at the western portion of the property near the crosswalk area. Then this would be the lighting of the sign would be externally lit.
Except the gooseneck is obviously white.
White,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to see that, but
And then if you look at the last page, it's got the exterior sign, and that's going to have uplighted.
Yeah. Right up in
oh, I'm sorry.
Would you be willing to lower the signage and the lighting down to be reduced lower than the ridge line of the building surrounding? So if you take that horizontal line at the top of the ridge, to keep all of the contents within that, so it's not as grand. So if you drew a line straight through the heart and top of the CVS and lowered that down.
Lower everything down.
Mr. Tagliafieri, are you asking for the lighting to be at the roof line or the sign to be?
I would think the whole assembly just to be below
The ridge.
the ridge line.
Well, as you have indicated in this rendering, it's below the ridge line
Okay.
at that point. You see, the ridge line is here, and see that's below.
Yeah.
It's on the last
It's
page.
basically taking this
I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to compromise the
Down.
visibility.
So
of
that the
it.
lighting is at the,
Reduce
at
its
the ridge
scale.
line.
I have no issue, but ultimately
Yeah.
CVS is going to make.
Yeah,
it
we'll
work.
take that back to the applicant, I'm
Good
sure.
idea.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Oh, it's just on this one. Yeah, you're right. It's on the plan itself. It's not shown that way, only on the rendering.
All right.
There are also some hours plaques that we are proposing by the entrance. And then there's one at the receiving in the rear by the receiving door.
Okay. Well, normally, there's signage, and it would have to be given to us as a separate application.
Mm.
We'll
Yeah.
provide this, that's fine.
Okay. And like the back would be one application, the front would be another application. So,
Okay, the other signage.
yeah.
We wanted to show it to you now, though, in case you had any
Yeah.
comments about it.
Well, we can comment on it right now, and that way it's just going to be a pass, you know,
Yes.
we'll go.
Other than that, I have no issues with the
You
building.
have no, okay. No. Mr. Rump, comments?
The only comment I had, just basically on the sign, I think it's that building needs some help visually. So I'm glad that it's being kind of renovated. What's gonna happen with the entire facade, you know, on either side of CVS? Is that gonna be improved, painted? Do you know?
I don't
Chris?
have the answer to that, but we could talk to the property owner.
I would, I think if just this portion is improved and painted and freshened up, it would make the other sides, you know, I think it's gotta be done together if we could.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
like I said, we'll talk to the landlord, the property owner
Right.
about
Yeah.
The only thing I had is that, you know, the pharmacy and then underneath department within, is that really necessary? Because it's hard to see. And, you know, and I go through this every time we have a sign, the town board would like us to have signs that identify place,
Sure.
Yeah.
you know, and not really advertising per se.
Sure.
So I would ask that you talk to CVS and see if that could be removed.
At one point, I know it was a law requirement.
Right.
I'm not sure if that is still the case, but I'll certainly take it back.
If you could.
Sure.
That's the only other
Yeah.
comment that I
Okay.
have, Mr. Chairman.
Fine, thank you. Yeah, because this is considered hamlet business, not
Okay.
highway.
Okay.
So you're coming under a stricter regulation. Ms. Keys, comments?
My only comment is I agree with everything everybody said, and just keep in mind that this means that these stores are going to be able to put their signage on the opposing pieces also. So it's they're going to have to conform in some way.
I think they are.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's Leslie Pools to the left,
right.
all right, and there is a sign on that facade that's,
So
That's
it might
on the
not be a
street.
bad idea for all of you to get together to make some kind of cohesiveness in that respect, so that it doesn't look very sloppy, because it could ruin all of the work you've done if everybody writes, you see? Just,
Okay,
that's it.
that's it, okay. Mr. Burke,
Nothing-
comments?
Nothing further.
Okay, my comments are the same as the lead from the area and the other board members, and I totally agree with removing just having the CVS and pharmacy, or, I don't know if even pharmacy is necessary, is it? Because they know you as CVS being a pharmacy.
That I'm not sure about.
Okay.
I'd have to ask the client as well.
I mean, it's not a sticky point with me, it's
Okay.
just that, you know, we are trying to clean up everything, and usually we do not allow logos. So, If you could reduce the logo a little.
Understood.
That's the
heart.
right there.
Right,
Yeah, the heart.
heart's to the left. Yeah.
So, and those are my comments on it. This is also, the building, I don't have any problem with what you're doing with the building. I think it's going to be an improvement to that whole area. So, and I like the way that you considered the rest of the buildings. So,
Thank you.
in the area. Okay, this will be transmitted to the planning board with all our comments.
Understood.
So, and we'll see you back, or we will get the applications for the signs.
We'll
Later on.
submit those. We have a public hearing on May 25th, so sometime thereafter, we'll probably
Yeah,
submit
no.
applications.
Just when you're ready to. Because it should be an easy process since we've already reviewed it with you.
Thank you.
Right,
Thank you.
right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Right.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. You need to-
And,
You want to keep those, or take them? I'll take them.
yeah, I think it's a good renovation you've done. Yeah.
I'm wondering why you didn't add more glass. Is that the end of your unit?
The unit actually goes from here to here.
Uh-huh.
It really depends on what goes on behind, so we try to, instead of putting glass in and obstructing it, I think. we
I
try to
see.
keep it-
I'm just, that's a nothing question.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, next is a site plan again. American Legion, 55 Concord Avenue, Hampton Bays is the applicant here. I guess not. But we, excuse me?
Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Meyer.
He's coming in.
Okay,
Is this the site plan?
yeah,
It says American Legion.
yeah, this is,
And then, we didn't even know, but they were all of the materials that they're
Right.
using for CBN.
well, those are almost existing. I think they are. Okay. Good morning. Hi. Okay, this is American Legion, 55 Concord Avenue, Hampton Bays, and it's a site plan review. And the lead is not available from this area, but Mr. Rump, would you review this and give the board your comments and decision? Okay, do you have any further comments before we start the review process?
Me?
Yes,
No.
okay.
Are there any renderings or that we can look at that are online?
This is what we
No,
have
so,
here. Did you want a screen share, or do you want me to just show what I have?
you can show what we provided.
Okay.
Do we have, sir, can you give us your name and your affiliation with the project, please?
Yes, my name is Eric Bjornaby, I'm the protector record.
Okay, great, thank you.
Looks like it's a proposed one-story addition here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just walk us through what you're proposing, sir?
Right, so, if you're familiar with the project, or the property, it's the American Legion. When you come in, it looks like the house, the structure there. On the back portion of the building, you can see that goes out. So that little shed-looking thing behind the house, that's the entrance to the hall. And then if you see the structure that's behind it, it's a large hall that's built mainly underground. And so when you come in, you enter into there, and then there's the large hall that goes towards the back. The flat roof on the structure has been an issue for them for a long time with drainage and some other issues. So there's two things that we're trying to achieve with this project. The first is to build a small addition in the front corner of the building where we're going to put a lobby and an elevator for access to get wheelchairs down to the level of the hall. And so it's a small structure, it's approximately 32 by 24. And then secondly, we're gonna be changing the flat roof to a gabled roof. And so that's pretty much what the extent of the structure itself. And then they had, a year or two ago, there was another structure that was behind the memorial that they had taken down. There was an old house there that was previously taken down and permitted separately. And then there's another structure further back on the property that's going to remain. And then basically because the site, the existing site is just a hodgepodge of paving, asphalt, dirt, grass. We're just going to clean up the overall site and provide additional parking so that they can park in a more structured manner and work around the existing structures that are on the property.
Okay. Do you have an elevation of what the new proposed lobby and addition will be as it faces Ponquag Avenue as well as the kind of the south elevation?
Yes, elevations I believe were provided.
Okay.
This is everything that I have.
So, in terms of the elevations, they're gonna be matching the existing siding. It's a white vinyl siding, it's just gonna be matched, and then, the roofing is gonna match the existing roofing.
All right. It appears we don't have those elevations electronically.
Okay,
Would you have the ability to screen share and show us?
sure.
Well, you're way better than I am at this stuff, that's for sure. I'm a dinosaur when it comes to this stuff.
I would say my computer has simply stopped working.
I guess shared screen with one. Can you see that?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just quickly go back to the front. So this is the property.
Mhm.
Can you see my mouse moving?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So this is the addition here that we're doing. This is the existing memorial that's gonna be staying.
Mhm.
The existing house, that's gonna be staying. And then, we're creating a new parking lot that goes in this area, around that structure, so. So if you look in here. Sorry, this- So this is the proposed structure that we're going to be adding in. So you'll come through these double doors. There'll be a little overhang in front of it.
Mhm.
And you'll just come into an open lobby. We're putting in the high-low water drinking fountains, which are required for the new code. And then we're putting a men's and women's restrooms here. And then the elevator over here with the stairs that's going to remain going down. And then this is reconfiguring the existing steps that were there just to be modified to get to the existing structure, which is an office, and then to the garage.
Right.
And then this is the lower level. There's going to be storage underneath where that area was we just discussed. You're going to come down these stairs, and then there's an existing bar here that's going to be slightly modified, and then you're going to come in. The rest of the space is just a large banquet room. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's a very simple looking structure. This off to the right, that's just what the angle of it is gonna look like as it kind of goes off on an angle, but you're not gonna really be seeing this in this type of perspective.
Right.
So we're just putting a small little roof over some double doors, and then these are windows that open up into one of the restrooms. The rest of the structure is gonna stay, and we're matching the siding. The siding and everything is gonna be matched to what's there.
As well as the roofing, I assume.
Correct. So this is a view from the left side of the structure, so this is with that structure we just discussed, the banquet hall with the new roof. This is from the rear of the structure. This is just what that A-frame would be looking like. But because of the way that there's an angle, it's just shown on the angle, but it's gonna be like a regular structure. And then this is the other side of that front piece.
That's the side, just to verify, that's the side that faces the site with the parking and the monument and everything else, correct?
Right, so all this here is the existing structure. This is the side that's gonna be the new addition that's gonna face the monument.
Yep.
This is that little roof over in the front, so it's,
Right. Okay,
the building's very eclectic, but I think it's very simple, the addition that we're doing here, and I think it'll match nicely.
yeah, I agree with you. I think the idea of a pitched roof over that, that hall will be a little bit more aesthetic as well. Any landscape improvements that you are planning for the site at this point?
So, the monument that they did in the front, I think they have some mainly pavers, but some small planting area.
Yep.
And then we're just gonna, along this side over here, we're just gonna put grass in, we're gonna make it look nice. It's not really, it's all patched in, it's not, so we're just gonna put grass there, and then along the back, there's not a whole lot of room. I think we'd be open to put planting areas in these corners, but, and then perhaps in the front area here, but there's not a whole lot of area available for planting.
Right. Well, I'm sure the planning board is going to review that with you, and, but
Yeah.
those two areas, maybe there's something you can add a couple of large trees, or potentially large trees that could add some scale and some
Right,
some greenery to it.
right, okay.
All right? I have nothing else, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
thank you very much, Mr. Rum. Mr. Burke, comments?
No, I had nothing further from what
Okay,
Tim
Mr.
said.
Tagliavia, comments?
I just have one question. Is that long corridor CMU painted block? Or is that going to be new siding to match?
The existing sidewall,
Yes, on the exterior.
yeah, that's just gonna be, it is CMU, it's just gonna be painted.
Okay. That's it. No further
Okay.
comments.
Ms. Keys, comments?
No, I think it's great. I think it'll look much better. Thank you.
Right, and my only comment is, yeah, it is quite a bit eclectic, but you seem to have cleaned it up a little bit. And I think the pitched roof will probably fit with the neighborhood a little easier than it is now. Because within that neighborhood area, this is the only like flat roofed building, so. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. Okay, this is a referral from the planning board, so all our comments will be transmitted to the planning board. And thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Have a good day.
thanks, you too.
Right. Okay. All right, next we have substantial residential, 724 Butter Lane.
I have to recuse myself on this
Okay,
application.
thank you, Mr. Rump. Yeah, and would you, and would you give the secretary your names and relationship to the application?
So I'm Will Goethe. I'm the architect for the Horwitzes, architect of 724 Butter Lane. Steve Naroda with Harris Design Landscape Architects, here for
Okay.
planting-related questions. And just for everyone's convenience, I'll refer to the screen.
Right, yeah.
So to give the board a little backstory, we presented to the ARB this time, or February last year, actually. Since then, we went to amend our permit. We went through some pretty substantial redesign, under which the footprints shifted, and so now we're here representing. So this property, this is the latest Google Earth. You may or may not be familiar. There's a house that has been built between our flag lot property and Butter Lane. So this is not reflective of that if you want to orient yourself. The property is visible from Butter Lane as you travel north. We are proposing a residence. If you'd like to go to the site plan here, I guess we'll tag team a little bit on the planting, but the idea here is to, before we've started any work on the property, it was barren, it was farmland. So what we're trying to do is really prioritize bringing in a lot of native landscaping, making it feel like it's always been there. Not standing out like a sore thumb. A lot of our exterior materials, the treatment that we've chosen is natural, very organic. This landscaping, as you can see, will stay here for now. Very winding, trying to feel organic, not as clean cut as the 2-acre parcel that we sit on. It does sit quite a far ways back from the street. So really, from a street view standpoint, the priority is to soften that view so that it's not a big, large residence in your face, right? Steve, do you want to talk a little bit about the planting and the species you're using? The main thing, we've already planted arborvitae along the property line to this corner, along the Butter Lane side, just to help screen the property.
Okay, what height is that?
They were planted at, I believe, 10-foot height,
Okay.
and the idea is to just let them grow while the house is under construction. They have irrigation on them, and they'll be probably, growing. They have good sun exposure. They should be doing pretty well. The rest of the property, we're surrounded by ag reserve land or farmland found on the back side of the property, and the idea there is to use, like Will was saying, more native plant material, clumps of bayberry, some trees, and then trying to keep some of that view shed open where it can complement the view and kind of pull in the agricultural feel that surrounds the property. We are at a low point here, so the farmland drains onto this property, so we're having to deal with the edge conditions with bioswales. We're trying to do it as naturally as possible so that there is natural leaching into the earth, but again, the ground is pretty hard, so we're having to recultivate a lot of the ground.
Yeah.
And if you want to go to the next slide, this is just to show you how our views, the next series of views are going to be taken. We're just working around the house in this direction. So this is your view as you approach the home from the flag, from the driveway, from the flag lot. We're using a series of wood siding. There's some soffit conditions that are treated with a neutral toned plaster. Apart from that, we have a combination of horizontal and vertical wood. We have these 2 horizontal bands that wrap the house. There's a lot of effort given to, I guess, making the front feel organic and soft, and then the back definitely opens up to the view. We do want to take advantage of the farm view. In the next view, again, making our way around, we've got this natural wood that flanks either side of this front entrance. Actually, the next view is even more revealing of that condition. Again, we're doing our best to show exactly how Steve and his team have decided to treat the landscape. And what we did is these views, again, I admittedly feel a little cold, and we did do another view where we wanted to show how we do think the materials are going to activate this perspective. So if you go to the next slide, this is the material that we're wrapping the house with, and this was, we felt, an important slide to show the board, because this is the material that we've decided to use. There's not a lot of high contrast, there's not a lot of mixing and matching of different types of material. It's really just using a variation of one wood, which is white ash. And we feel like that's going to give it even more of a natural embedded feel into the site, not, limiting the amount of white, especially from the street side, limiting the amount of glass that we have facing the street. Again, I think will really help it feel blended in. And if you go to the next view, this is a more accurate representation of how the wood, the white ash, is going to work with the subtle contrast that we do have is between the plaster and the white ash, which you can see the plaster is on the inside of this opening and on the underside of the overhangs. The lighting scheme, again, from the road, we wanted to, and from both sides, we wanted to be very careful about how we're lighting the house, but really we're trying to be very modest with how much uplighting we're doing on the exterior, that sort of thing. And if you want to go, we continue to circle around the house. This is actually a great view of traveling northbound on Butter Lane. This is the view that you have if you could see past the continued growth of the arborvitaes.
Mhm.
Right now, this is your time to take a look, as you can see it pretty clearly now. But yes, as you can see, we've got a more solid front, and if you go to the next slide, this is a view of the side of the home. What we did was we wanted to make sure that there was a strong connection with the landscape everywhere around the home. Architecturally speaking, there's a central corridor that connects both sides of the property to each other. So that's what you're looking down right now, is that central corridor in the house. And then in the next view, this is the house as it opens up into the back. Again, the landscape here isn't filled in the way that Steve is showing it, so take this view with a grain of salt. The final view is infilled with their design and does them a little more justice than this. But in the back, we definitely open up more in the back. It's not as closed and solid as the front of the home. Again, most of this is for privacy, both from the neighbor and from the street side. And if you continue down to the next view, this is just a little more detail in the back. You can get a good sense of how you can get a good sense of the overhangs, and then the subtle contrast of the plaster and the wood siding. And then the last 3 pages are going to be, I think, the most indicative of what we're proposing. I included another slide. If you go to the next view, and I wanted to again reiterate the siding treatment that we're proposing, and then the final view is going to be, this is integrating all of Arrays's work that they've done in landscaping, and then I think gives an accurate picture of the wood and the glass, and then the underside of that plaster soffit.
Okay. Okay, and that concludes your presentation?
That concludes my presentation.
Right. Ms. Keys is the lead on this, and would you give the board your comments and...
I just have some questions. So what is the size of the house?
It's roughly 7,500 square feet above ground.
Okay, and is the top a deck, or is that the roof?
The roof, there's no roof deck, no.
Okay.
There are decks on the second floor, if you can see there.
No,
to
I
the
do
left
see
and
it,
right,
yeah. And so when this ages, it's going to age in that lighter cedar?
Yeah, I think right now this is probably a good view 2 years from now. It's starting to gray.
Okay.
You're
That's
still going
what
to
I
get
thought.
some warmth, But the white ash is not as, it's not as, I guess, yellow and light as cedar is. It's going to stay pretty warm.
Okay, and the agravite's going to be about 10 feet? Shoot, it starts at 10?
Yes, and then they can grow pretty tall, so it depends on how much
Because my concern
screening
is
we're
all the
getting.
light coming out of
Yeah.
the building. You know what I mean? Would be the next issue.
We can get to, arborvitae can get to 30 feet tall over time.
All right, then I have no issues with this.
Okay, Mr. Tagliavia, comments?
No further comment. I think it's a beautiful design.
Okay. Mr. Burke, comments? Okay, and my comments are, I think the design's going to be in keeping with the rest of the neighborhood. And I'm glad you did do boundary plantings all around and are letting them grow. And that's my only comment. I think the design is going to be fine. Okay, this we have to vote on. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion to approve the application as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's approved. Okay, we're going to need Mr. Rump back. Okay. The next application is 623 Ocean Road. Would you come up and also give the board your names and your relationship to the project?
Good morning. I am Drew Greenwald, and I am the owner of the property.
Okay.
I'll give you more background on my relationship to the property in a minute. This is Paul Valkovich. He is my builder.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I am an architect, and I am, more involved in real estate development than architecture. And my wife and I wanted a place, we spent a lot of summers out here, we wanted a place we could build something that would work for our 5 kids and our many grandchildren. And we acquired this property about 6 years ago. It is on Ocean Road, about it's a second property in as you go towards the water when you cross Bridge Lane. It is on the east side of Ocean Road.
Okay.
It's about 2.33 acres, okay? And we first saw the property, it literally was Jurassic Park. The previous owners were very much into horticultural things, but as they aged, they kind of neglected the property. So when we first saw it, it even had bamboo shoots that were 30 feet high, covering the tennis court.
Cool.
And but most of the stuff was dead, but there was some incredible specimen stuff that was still alive. And so we looked at it and we said, we got to take all the good things, try to keep them. Ultimately, the plan would be that the house, which was a 1-story, no basement, not in great shape, would come down. And our strategy was to build the back of the property first and move towards the front. And so the accessory buildings, the tennis court, the pool, when you look at the plan you have there, that's all in place.
Right.
Looking at the site plan. And then from the sort of that little pink path of flowers, that's kind of the middle, and then from there to Ocean Road is, where the construction would occur. And when I looked at the site, I asked a couple of friends of mine who are also architects to collaborate with me, so that I actually am working with Enrique Norton, who's a friend of mine who lives in Mexico City, who's well known for southern hemisphere type architecture, and another friend of mine, Michael Thrifty, who's a partner at Perkins Eastman, who I actually went to architecture school with. So the three of us kind of collaborated on And you'll see in the existing photos, the whole concept is to really, we're not on the water, but to feel like we are in a beach setting. So if I kind of jump, if you jump to the existing photos, I think that's the best way to set a context. It's titled, Existing Accessory Structures. And the first slide, the first photo, gives you an overview of the three structures. And one on the, if you're at that one yet, that says view looking southwest. You go to that first, this picture here. It starts behind a blue thing that
Oh, I got it.
says 623 Ocean. So I just wanted to walk you through.
AABD, okay.
Yeah, I want to walk you through that a little because it'll give you an
Okay.
idea of our design concept. And as I mentioned, the kind of the southern hemispherical influence, the beach, et cetera, the idea was to really create, these structures that really place you in this, kind of the beach environment, use materials and elements that are kind of sympathetic to that. So in this picture, you have the pool house on the right, you have a gym on the left, and then my wife, who's quite an accomplished artist, that's our art studio, which is sort of the glass structure that you see in between. And so the concept for the house itself, and if you go to the next couple of pictures, you see different views, you see different, and one thing you'll notice throughout is a tremendous amount of landscaping that was done to relate to the architectural elements. And we have planted hundreds of elements on the property in terms of, we line the entire property line, north and south with arborvitae. We built a 6,000 square foot wildflower garden on the back property line. We moved two, 70-foot high zelkovas that were at the front of the property, pinched against the foundation of the existing house. And we had martyrs move them to the back to frame the tennis court. And then we have I think we may be the only one in the United States. They bought this Caucasian wingnut, which is an Iranian tree from the Caucasus Sea.
What was it called again?
Called the Caucasian wingnut, okay? And it's spectacular. It has a 6-foot, basically caliper base. And so we made that what faces the art studio as an example. So we tied all these huge trees that we could, save and take care of into the design. So you'll know when you look through the material, and then when you go back and look at the site plan, if we look at the last, one here, for example, the landscaping features near the pool and tennis court, we really, and I said my wife's an artist, one of the things she does paint is tremendous abstractions of flowers, and so she kind of composed a lot of what you see here in terms of all the floral stuff. So if you look at the last picture, it's kind of the property will be covered like that, like the back is. The front will be very similar. And if we go to the site plan,
Is this the back of your house?
that's the front.
That's the front.
The back. Let me show you. We'll talk about the back in a second. If you look at the site plan, okay, we're set back about 150 feet from Ocean Road, okay, and the trees that you see, the large trees in the front, are existing trees, and one of them is a European weeping beech, which is another rare tree. That's the first tree you see on the corner. One of the problems with the site now is that you enter literally very close to Bridge Lane. So the idea is to make the entrance further from Bridge Lane and to have the exit be the current existing entrance. And then the house set back to create enough lawn in front of sort of the architectural vision. And the back of the house is very glassed to open to the to what's happening behind it. So if we go to the axonometrics, if we go to the first one after the survey, okay, we have the site plan, then we have a survey, then we have an axonometric that kind of gives you the idea of the presentation of the front. The materials are very consistent with what's going on in the back. this is the material that would be used for the screen wall in the front. So when you see that undulating wall, the idea is that that kind of sets the screen. Behind it, you have the kind of the glass behind the veranda, and then this is the cement panel. Yep. This is a material that, Richard Meyer, for example, used a lot. This is a cement panel, which is like a stone.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the mullion color that goes with that. So the idea is there's a lot of white and gray in this area of Bridgehampton, whether it's modern or traditional, you have a lot of that. So our idea was it's really a modern interpretation of creating that kind of, front wall, and then the kind of roof overhangs the entry, and then you have the kind of the glass behind it, which is really the glass for the vertical circulation for the house is really behind that screen wall.
Okay, and that concludes your presentation?
Well, I'll give you the back, and just a quick thing, the back gives you an idea of the glass. It's very open to the back because the back is the lawn, the back is where you have the accessory structures. And then the two elevations, if you have any questions, are behind that. And that's, I'm open to, and then this is a kind of a rendering of what the front would look like. But again, you have to take the color of the materials, because this was quickly done. When we heard we had to do a rendering, it was quickly put together. So coloration-wise, it's a little bit off. It's beige, it's brown, it's not. The materials that you see are really the materials that are there. So, open to questions.
Okay, well, I'm the lead on this. This is in my area. My comment is, yeah, I'm like the way you have considered the site and the way you did it, and plus, I'm very familiar with the adjacent houses and everything else, and you're right. You've used materials that are very similar to everything in that whole neighborhood. And the only comment I have, could I see that, Mr. Mayor? Thank you, is I'm concerned about the shininess of this. Because when the sun hits it, you're going to get this in the morning quite a bit.
Well, you're going to get in the afternoon. That faces west.
Wait a minute, this faces west?
Yeah, that's west. Yep.
Wait a minute, maybe I'm,
That faces west. That, if you go to the render, if you go to the site plan for a second,
yeah.
that is the undulating wall in the front that you can see.
This?
Yes, that's facing west there.
Okay, this is facing west.
And so
Okay,
one of the
so you're
thoughts
gonna
is-
get it in the afternoon
And
then.
one of the thoughts, though, is because we have so much high and dense foliage on the west, the existing, talking, 100 feet high with the maple, that you're gonna be a lot toned down. That if we went too matte, because we looked at different samples, because that's really not a high gloss or a gloss.
No.
But if you go matte, you kind of lose the effect of the kind of the angled wall. So that was the thinking. That's not as high gloss as you would
No, I
see on
know
a
that
Meyer,
some
Meyer
people-
house. It's more of a little bit muted. So
Yeah.
that's the idea. No, we're aware of that. So that was the thought. If you go there, you can see how, the area.
Yeah.
Those trees are monstrous that we were able to save in the front.
Well, that reduces the bulk of this. And the trees, because that would have been my comment, if you didn't leave the trees, would be, this is kind of massive
Yeah.
to the.
Well, actually, the rendering goes from edge to edge, but the
Yeah.
property width, we're set in, more than 30 feet on
Right.
each side. So when you actually look at it, we have very tall trees on the side also that are existing. So it looks, if you go there and you kind of do this with your hand and you say, then you realize it's not very massive at all.
So, Anyway.
That rendering looks more massive. I
Right.
agree with you.
Yeah, because it's up a little. Okay, those are my only comments on this, and it's going to fit, and with the stipulation that all the trees would remain, and if not, they're going to be replaced. in like kind.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you look on this, most of these trees here, all existing.
Right.
These existing, and, you know, and this was a Katsura we moved. These are new, okay, in the front here. Everything else is
Right.
existing, and all of this that we planted on the property line, arborvitae and then hydrangeas in front of them, we're gonna be doing the same thing. We're gonna be planting arborvitae here, even though there's privet hedges that exist, we're gonna be planting arborvitae, which, you know, will grow eventually to 15, 20 feet.
Right.
We planted around the tennis court, ones that were 6, they were already, 12 in a year? It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
they're-
It just,
grow.
stuff grows here, which is amazing.
Okay. Yeah, that concludes my comments on it, and I recommend approval. Mr. Rump, comments?
I have no issues, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Burke, comments?
No, I'm gonna vote for approval. I think with the landscaping and the size of the lot, just my initial concern was that the rain screen walls, I'm not sure how characteristic they are to, to the neighborhood, or but you would know better than me on that.
Well,
But-
yeah, there is some, like, barn-like structures, modern barn-like structures within that area, so.
But otherwise, I mean, as
Yeah.
I said, with the screening and the landscaping, I'm okay, no further.
Yeah. Yeah, because we've done the same, required some of the other houses that are in that area to have landscape to break up the massiveness of it.
Yeah.
Ms. Keyes, comments?
I love everything about the landscaping you've done and the glass in the back, and this is really hard. It doesn't read as a house to me. And this is really bright, the white on here, and Richard Meyer works in cities. So I understand that his is more, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see the other houses looking like this at all. I drive this road all the time, and I love everything that you've done except for this face. And I just wonder if this really changes the neighborhood to a whole different thing. And it's just, this is hard for me. Everything else, I love the landscaping, I love the glass, I love everything. And then you come to here and you're like, oh.
Well, we were trying, and this was an idea Enrique had, we were trying not to have the glass front. We were trying to kind of be more respectful and not the glass being the back. And if you look around.
But that doesn't leave this only option. I understand what you're saying, but that doesn't leave this as the only option to that.
The other thing I just mentioned, Richard Meyer has done some spectacular homes in Bridgehampton. So the idea that, it's a city, I think he's very sensitive to it. But this was not intended to be a Richard Meyer house in any way, as you can understand.
Yeah.
But I mentioned about the material.
Right.
We went through a lot of iterations, and the whole idea was to make the front more of a screen wall than be open, because we didn't want to just, when you're on the beach and you put both sides in glass, but here you're on a block that doesn't speak glass on the front.
On the
I hear what
Architectural
you're saying.
Review Board,
I hear
what
you're
I'm saying
Yeah.
is, when you look at a neighborhood, and this becomes one of the houses, and this is the front of this house,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to see this. It doesn't read as a house. It doesn't read as a house. You know what I mean? So I'm passionate about our community, and so when I see this, I'm like, wow. It's just a lot. So that's my comment.
I'm trying to think about how, see, because when you look at it in plan, right, it's not a big gesture. That rendering, unfortunately, makes the gesture seem bigger than it. I think if you look at the axon, the gesture is not as overwhelming. Because of the glass behind it.
If you
have
have
a
a
plan?
rendering that makes it look less like this, that would be, I mean, if you're saying that
I'm
this.
thinking maybe if you, maybe a little model or something, because, you know, just to kind of, you know, give the feel, because the trouble is when you look at the rendering, it looks like it's covering the whole property, and it's not. I mean, the front facade is less than half of the width of the property. So that's one of the things that's misleading, because I had the architects quickly do this to zoom in so you could see the building. But maybe we need to, if you wanted me to do it, you know, I can do something that kind of
Shows the scale of it.
shows the scale.
Mhm.
Maybe that's, I don't know, if you think that that's merited.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Yep, tell me.
Well, okay, Mr. Taglia, comments?
I have a couple questions with the materials of the aprons at the street, and also, do you have an entry gate design? I know that there's a lot of artistic expression here with this property and this design. I just want to make sure.
We have an entry gate. I think we don't have it up here, but
Uh-huh.
it's, I think, very consistent with the, if you look at the existing picture of the side view of the art studio, you see this one that has the screen facing
Mhm.
west? That is basically the impetus for the gate design. So you would have that kind of a horizontal line. You'd have a frame for it, and then you'd have basically a stone, like a gray granite, would be the piers.
Okay, I think that's more in context with the surrounding area.
Yeah.
Just because of this expression on the front elevation, I wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to be
And we can give
street
you
side.
that drawing.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, no, that's, see, the whole idea was, if you look at this, and I know you think that fits more
Mhm.
with the image of the front, we kind of steered away from doing that, to do something that was a little bit different.
Mhm.
But, you know, I hear what you're saying. I'm just
Personally,
trying
I
to
don't have a
think.
problem with the front facade, given that it's so far back from the property and you're not seeing it from the
Yeah.
street. You know, you're expressing your own designs and your own design intent there. Just wanted to make sure that the gates themselves were in more
Yep.
of the similar context.
We
of the
can give you
surrounding.
that drawing.
And then they're very close to the property line as well. And then the keypad for the gates has to be on your property line, so you may run into
No,
trouble.
this, if you notice, the property line, the gates are behind the property line,
Mhm.
and the keypads would be on the pier, which is on the property line.
Okay.
It's not on the
So
street.
you're not gonna
No,
have
that-
an
that-
operating,
no,
when you
the-
pull up with a vehicle?
No. And remember, this is the entry, that's only gonna be the exit, this is the entry.
Mhm.
So you're going to be coming up.
Yeah.
So I would just like to see,
That's why I just wanted to
within
check
the
with you.
submission, a driveway gate
Yep,
design.
no
Yeah.
problem.
Okay. All right. Any of the board members would like to make additional comments on this? If none, basically, you've screened the whole property. And that's normally what we would require anyway, even for a very modern, or even if this was a pink house. Because you've got to consider your neighbors and everything else, and their privacy and also their values. So, and this is why I had no problem with it. And I'll just ask, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion with the stipulation that you submit a driveway gate design.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll just make one final comment. I totally agree with Ms. Keys that this is a massive area. You know, looking, and if you didn't have it screened, I would have problems with it also.
Well, let me go, happy to bring something back just to work on it. I'm curious, you know what I mean?
If you wish.
You know what? I don't think you're wrong. I think there's a gesture being made here that's is sculptural, you know?
Yeah, it is.
It's an architectural vision that's different than existing. It tries to put a new face on stuff that's happening behind it. And if you note it, you go up above, you have all glass facing the
Mhm.
veranda. So I think would be a very interesting contrast to what's below. But I also am not happy, you know, the last minute we knew about the rendering. We had the architects produce it Friday. The people who worked on it are not my choice for the best renderers. When I got it, I was like, you know, and then we went back and forth Friday evening, they were still working on it. And I said, it doesn't do the colors, it doesn't do what I need. So I'm happy to go back, look, and see if I can show you something that you're happier with. Because I think the concept works.
Mhm.
I think it's not presented right, and I think that, you know,
Mhm.
it's reading tougher than it is. Because, you know, you have this window band that runs through it, so it interrupts this, you know, the height of it,
Yeah, you
right?
can't really see that.
And above
Yeah.
it, you have all the glass. So,
Right.
and we can step out on the veranda, so it's a, you know, the concept of lifting the veranda. The house next to me has the veranda at grade level, and it has the, you know, the porch. So the idea of lifting the porch up is an interesting idea. So let me.
Well, we're not, even though a lot of us are architects here, we're not in the business of, you know, designing it for you. But just think about this. Look at the balance on both sides. You might consider playing with a fenestration on the other side,
Yes.
okay? Not designing it
No,
for you.
already was playing with it over the weekend.
Oh, good.
When I saw the rendering, seriously. It's one of these things where, as I mentioned before, being an architect who's a developer, I have been to hundreds of these hearings, and people say things, and they actually do help make the building better.
Right.
So when I hear something that is going with what I already am thinking, then I work on it. If I think that it's off course, then I say respectfully, I don't agree. But I do have, you know, some qualms, so let me.
Okay, if you want to resubmit
Well,
it.
I'll show you. I don't know if, I mean, you're approving, but I would be
No,
happy to show you.
we already actually approved it.
That's right, so I'm happy to show you
I'm like-
anyway, if you wanna.
What?
I'm like, you don't resubmit after approval.
Well,
No,
no.
we're approved, but
Well,
you-
I'm giving you this.
No,
So
you
maybe I
can.
can give you this also and.
Right, you can resubmit it, and we can, at the next meeting, you won't even have to be here, we can just say,
Yeah,
you've
okay.
resubmitted it, and this is
Well,
what
let me see.
we're
what we
doing.
can
I mean, it's an easy process if you wish to
Yeah.
do it.
I'm thinking maybe we do a little model, a photograph of it, whatever. I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Appreciate your
Thank you.
openness on
Yeah,
this.
well, it's an important role you all have, so.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, excuse me, is 263 Millstone Road.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse
Okay.
myself again.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rump.
Stand.
Okay.
You brought the rocks.
I wrote the rock.
That's funny.
Steve Rhoda with Harris Design Landscape
Right.
Architects. The architect will be joining us via Zoom.
Okay, good.
So he's have some samples they provided for us to bring today. It's okay to put that on the table?
Yes.
No.
Mess with the microphone. Okay. And then we have some rendering.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oops. Oh, good morning.
Yes, hi, good morning.
Yeah. Okay, anytime you wish, you can start the presentation.
Sure. So my name is Paulo Rodriguez, project architect for McDonough Conrad Architects. I have here a 8,000 square foot house located on a 109,000 square foot lot, roughly 2.5 acres. We have basically a typical Hampton-style house with A-frame roofs, cedar siding, some cultured stone for some accents, a cedar roof. We have here a circular driveway with a porch air going through to the three-car garage attached. It's in a L-shaped structure. What else can I add? Yeah, there's an in-ground pool at the rear leading to a sunken tennis court.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Keys, you're the lead on this area.
I'm looking up where the actual location on Millstone. Okay.
Is that,
Which side of the road is this on? The east or the west? Sorry.
This is on the east side.
East side.
Okay. You know, I don't have any problems with it. It looks fine.
Okay.
It looks fine, but I have no comments.
Mr. Tagliavia?
I don't have any comments. It looks like it's pretty well concealed from the street, and it's, you know, it's within the aesthetics of the surrounding neighborhood.
Right.
Right.
Okay, Mr. Burke, comments?
I agree with nothing.
Okay, my comments are, yeah, I had a couple of concerns first with the slope of the roof, but then I see that this was on the drawing on the side, but then I see you balanced it with the, what exactly is that? I don't want to misinterpret it.
The slope on the garage.
Right. You have a gable and then it's sloped roof off of it.
That's correct, yes.
And then on the other side, this looks like a conservatory, or what is it?
On the other side, meaning the third bay.
It's on.
So the sloped roof is over the third bay. If you look at the right side building elevation, that's the third bay of the garage.
Right, no, I understand that, but what is on the opposite side of that on the other side of the building?
You mean this?
So that's
No, this.
porte-cochere, so you drive through to the garage side. So you come in on the north side of the structure, drive through to the rear side or the south side of the structure to the garage doors.
Wait a minute,
I think you mean
where? Okay, I'm looking at the,
On the other side of the garage.
which is this? Which elevation? is
That, you were looking from the south there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the south elevation. Okay, all the way to the side, it looks like a conservatory.
over here?
It's a glass structure.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm trying to see. Oh, that there is a screened-in porch.
Screened in, okay, glad I clarified that.
Yes, I apologize.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
but,
it's a screened-in porch.
yeah, I'm glad you just matched the sides of the house to give this whole house balance, because if you didn't
Correct.
have that, this would be quite prominent and not look so great.
I am 100% agree.
Yeah, so fine, I have no problem with that, the rest of it then. And plus, you've screened it sufficiently
Yeah.
all the way around.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I don't, do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve this as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right. Okay, and we're gonna need Mr. Rump to come back in so we can adjourn.
All right. He's like a runway model.
Okay,
exercise, how many steps do I get?
right. Okay, any further business to come before the board because we've concluded the agenda?
The only thing that I had is I
Yeah.
read that, the most recent document that our attorney did.
Yes.
And then the first, I sent an email this morning,
Oh,
but on that first sentence, it talks about a site plan.
Right, yeah, I agree with that. You were talking about surveyors.
Licensed
Right,
design professional, because
yeah.
instead of just a surveyor,
I
I think that.
agree with that, right,
all
yeah.
That's the only.
That a
Right.
surveyor does not have to, it doesn't, a site plan does not necessarily have to be prepared by a surveyor. It could be a licensed engineer or.
Architect or
licensed
landscape.
art-
Right.
Right,
Just like the
Okay.
code
just to
says.
clarify
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
So,
okay,
So that's the only thing that I would, that's the only.
right, that can
thing
be
I saw.
changed.
yeah, but yeah, I agree.
Changed quickly enough,
Yeah.
yeah, because that was, the intent was that it's not just done ad hoc,
Right.
so. Okay, any other comments or business to come before the board? If none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Do I hear a second? Motion to adjourn and was made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.